Hey guys, I got some cool feedback on the last video that some double-digit Q players really liked the input, but it might have been a bit too much or too many different topics for one single video. So we are trying to focus on one thing today. I am probably going to talk about some other smaller stuff anyway, but I want to talk about how weak groups on the board, especially in the opening, affect your ability to play anywhere you like or allow your opponent to push you around on the board and get the result that he actually wants from those positions. I took another game from the tournament that I'm currently playing in, and this is a game between a 15Q and a 12Q. I forgot who was the 12Q. And compared to the other game that I just looked at, this game is more fighting oriented. Like you can see it in the third move. Like Black doesn't really start with any of the other corners. This is fine. Like technically you can do that. I also sometimes did that just for fun and to mix things up. Often it might just revert back to a sort of semi-normal opening. So it's not really that unusual. Just be aware that you could get into some trouble here, that you don't know how those corners are defined yet, and this is just making things more complicated. Because you will need to keep that in mind. How you play here will need to decide which corner you want, and it's it's just more complicated. So let's take a look at this. Today's topic is more on when are your groups weak or strong, and how your opponent will take advantage of that. In this case, especially if there's nothing around, you almost always want this move. This move just keeps everything super simple. You just get your corner, he gets a bit of development on the side. And according to the latest AI, analysis, this Joseki is apparently a small advantage for white. So white should, like, if there's nothing else that will speak against it, like white should probably always look at playing this Joseki in the beginning, especially if you don't know that many Josekis, because it's also just super easy. This is a move that you can look at, but it's really hard to just decide on this move if there's nothing else on this side. Like, let's say you have super strong potential. I'm just making up moves here. Don't play those moves. Like, if you have super strong potential on this side, then yeah, maybe there's something to be said about actually taking this side because you don't want black to potentially, take anything over here. Um, But other than that, like especially in the very open beginning, just play the normal one. That should be plenty fine and plenty good for white. All right, let's try that again. Now with a different camera and another approach to explain this. Black played here, and that is the correct move in this shape. White played here, black played then here, and then white Tanuki'd. We are now, there are a few mistakes in this variation. We are going to take a look at what should have happened or what would be a stable variation, and then we're going to take a look at the differences. White should play here. Black pulls back. White makes an eye down here and keeps himself open for the corner. Black jumps out, and then white has a strong shape, already has an eye. Black has also enough space to make eyes and to move to either side, to the middle or to the top side. Um, so this is what should have happened. White gets another corner, black gets a corner. White has basically that's a normal opening sort of. You have two black stones on the opening stones. White has two stones, and then black invades on this for 5 stone. So that's not what happened. White played here, and then black played here. Let's go through this in reverse. Basically, what I want to get at right now is sometimes you might not know Joseki moves, and that is totally fine because there are way too many Josekis out. but you want to make sure that you don't leave a weakness that your opponent can directly attack and get stronger from it. So white should, instead of playing here, come here now, because that immediately makes this group very safe and threatens to attack this group. Black needs to play here, and white can now, like white could place elsewhere, but white can also directly attack this, and this would be a big problem for the black group because white is, through because of this exchange, actually pretty strong down here. Black can try to escape to the middle, but white got another group. This is perfectly fine to deal with. And black now has weaknesses everywhere. So white just stays strong. And after making sure that he has strong groups, can attack all the weaknesses that black left on the board. So again, how did that happen? Because black left a single stone that white can attack and he needs to react to. So in this exchange, white gets strong by attacking that weakness of black and then can attack. So that was the problem for black. White also did a mistake though. White played this move instead of coming down here to make the I shape. So how can take black advantage of that? Black should just play here, which makes the black group safe, and black is, more on the corner than white is. So black can at any time make some space in the corner for eyes. And let's say white plays here now. You might recognize that this is very similar to the situation we just had for black, where black had that one single stone that can be immediately attacked. So again, black should play here, which would attack the stone, and black would have a strong group and can just play elsewhere. Or if white now takes the time to play elsewhere, black has always, like black doesn't need to take this right now because this would be too small. But black has always the option to just take the stone for guaranteed 2 eyes. So that this exchange actually helps black stay strong. So again, this is one single stone where you left a weakness for your opponent to exploit to get stronger from. So let's see how this continued. Right, we played this. This is all fine. Okay. Similarly, like if you look at how you connect groups, in this case you just directly connect your stones. Like you just stay strong and you don't give your opponent the option to attack anything more and to get any other forcing moves from the situation. What happened over here was that this is basically the same shape. Like you could just, the best shape right now or the best move for black would be just pull back. And this is, the same shape. You just have a strong group. You are connected. White cannot cut you directly and cannot get any more, strong forcing moves without leaving weaknesses behind. So white should play here, black plays here, white takes something over here, and then black has center to do whatever he wants. By playing here, on the other hand, you leave a weakness here. You haven't connected those groups. So you give white two advantages. One is by playing here, this side actually gets stronger. Like if you look at the comparison like this, and that's those three stones making influence to this side versus, let's say this, where you make a wall of three stones, bringing up the influence to this side. So you actually strengthen white's group and you have less potential to attack anything over here or get more endgame in the end. For example, if you played here, let's just say you still have moves like this, where white actually needs to, you can connect underneath. So white kind of could separate, but then you have a whole different fight to look at. So don't make your opponent stronger. You want to have, you want your groups to be as strong as possible, but you want your opponent's groups to be as weak as possible. So just stay strong and see how this develops, and then use those weaknesses later. So that's the first problem, that you make this group too strong. And the second problem is that by not connecting directly, you actually leave weaknesses that your opponent can use later on for more RG or for endgame points. In this case, you have this fun variation where usually you would want to block here, but now white can play here. Black takes, white Ataris, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white. So you actually left another weakness that will, haunt you in the end, and you will need to make some sort of shape move just to make sure that you actually don't lose those points. Um, yes, that is fine. White can play here, so let's get back to our topic of weak and strong groups. Like if we look at this situation, who is weak? Like I just talked about this a while ago. But if you look at this, which of those two groups do you think is weak? Just gonna let you think for 5 seconds. Okay. If your conclusion was that black is weaker because white at any time has this stone that he can attack, that is correct. The problem with that, or with White's thinking, is that he doesn't take the time to actually make his group strong and attack afterwards. He attacks right away. And it's true that White can have this move at any time, but depending on what happens here, Black might get stronger, and so strong, in fact, that White will never have the chance to get this move and then gets attacked itself. Because if you can just imagine that something like this happens, this doesn't work right now, but something like this might happen, and then White is open, and White doesn't have this advantage anymore to actually have a strong group and attack, but he just will get attacked. So this is dubious because we haven't actually made sure that this group is strong yet. We are making another group that obviously has no strength because it's only a single stone. And right before that, we made another group that doesn't have eyes yet, or is not yet settled. So if black at any time can, find the time to come back here in one of those moves, those two groups will have a problem. At least one of them. Like, let's say white plays here. This will become a problem real quickly. So let's see how this continues. Black comes out, which is a good idea because just living in the corner might be too small if white can get all of the outside. White jumps here, and black plays here. Black probably just missed the point, but this move obviously peeps at this cut. So if black plays here, white can play here immediately, and then black can't really do anything about this situation. Like these stones are cut off, and they also can't live. So white just got the corner from this because black ignored this cut, didn't see it, that's fine. The better move would have been this. And this is now also where we get to the fun part about how having a weak group or how having a strong group actually gives you a lot of advantages. Because now this move isn't working anymore. Black doesn't need to play here, black can play here because he protects both cuts, and then white needs to protect his one stone, and then black can actually attack this group or see what kind of shape he can get out of this to see if he can attack the left or the right group. And black is also out, so this is Totally fine for black. Um, and then we also have the problem that, there's also this group that white now needs to take care of. This is complicated. I'm not going to go through this, but I just want to, show you the importance of having actually strong groups and strengthening your group being more important than just attacking, or maybe even big moves, or moves that seem big to you, like more corner moves or whatever, because this will get really nasty really quickly. So yeah, we have this type where white might not see what happens here. He might be afraid to cut right away, so he strengthens himself. Black takes some outside influence, which is technically fine. And now black attacks here. As we just talked about it, um, black might want that, and black that would be a really cool move if white wouldn't be able to cut here. But white can cut here. So yeah, just a small aside. Right now, black can actually just take the outside and try to make any influence and attack all of this on the left side. Just give up those stones directly because black can't really save those stones. So we're gonna have all of this. I'm just gonna skip over this, but basically what we're looking at here is that white took all of the corner, and black now has again two weak groups, this one and this one, not connected, not having two eyes. So you, like when this kind of thing happens and you have lost, a group that you were counting on and that you thought was connected or was taking your corner, you still want to make sure that you have strong groups or have connected groups to actually come back from this and to start attacking your opponent. Like if you just imagine like this type of formation, I'm not even sure this might does so kind of work. If you have this type of formation, you are strong, and then you can actually take a look at what weaknesses your opponent has. So let's say he takes the corner, and then we have, there's you will get something from this. You will get maybe a bigger side. You will might get, another strong group over here. This is going to be still a game. I think Lizzie still said that this is a 50-50 game if you just take the outside, even after losing this corner, because having the outside influence this early in the game is just so big. But that didn't happen. Instead, you, try to fight your way out of this situation with this group, and then took the outside this way. And as I said, this comes back to having actually not just one group that you attack, one strong group that you attack something with, but you have two weak groups that will now be in danger as soon as white plays any move over here. Like you will need to decide what to do. Oh yeah, right. Actually, let you live, right? Yeah, white let you live. Yeah. In any case, you still have two groups instead of just one strong group. Sure. So here we do the same thing again. White takes this stone, which in this case might actually be better because it also attacks this group more directly than just giving black the outside influence or allowing black to choose one of those variations where black can walk towards with his group. But if you just want an easy game, like this is the white is ton ahead, so just take your points and be done with it. Okay, this stone. As we just had in the other variation, this is actually the right stone to attack this group. Black defense, and then white comes over here. Now, small disclaimer. According to Lizzie, this is actually a good move. But I still would not recommend you to play this move. Because right now we would get into the same problem that we discussed earlier, where black can force you to, secure that stone, get some ice base down here, and then attack you, and then this would just become, a nasty big fight. Whereas white could just be either completely safe, like as I said, you just take your eyes, everything is connected, you're strong, and as you are ahead in the game anyway because of, the corner, this is fine. You can just continue playing and everything will turn out well. Or even better in this case, because you have strength over here that black can't really invade. You can even play here, which would take away the eye space of black down here, and even if he defends some form of shape, this is still not safe because you still have some follow-ups that take away the eye space, or at least one eye. So, still, you still want to get strong here. One of those moves would be fine. You don't want to get into trouble, and then just attack everything, every weakness that your opponent still has. Otherwise, black has options. Black, as I said, can have this to, just get strength and then attack something from you, or this, which is also a fine move. Um, the problem with this move and this variation is that I did not actually see what black gains from this move until looking at a few variations, because this is really complicated. So let's take a look at what happens in the game. White defends his stones. Black comes out to attack the stone. White tries to connect. Black blocks, so this stone is an Atari, needs to be defended. And then black comes over here. Um, Basically, what you got is black trying to get additional stones to help this group, which can then, attack this group in the middle and to actually make eyes and safety for this long stick group. So that's what you want to get from this variation, which totally, like, this was what happened in the game. That was not the best variation for black. The best variation would be something like this, where, you get some outside stones and you actually make some sort of ice base and some sort of influence that can be used while still having ways for this group to defend himself. But that, as I said, in this situation, I would have not seen that this is what I can get from this, and this is sort of what would be the best variation for black to do in this case. So that is really, really, really complicated. So if you can't see through any of that, this is just like perfectly fine. And then you can also try to run out or get something from attacking this group. All right, so what did we actually learn in this video? I guess we looked a lot at the 3-4 Joseki where white jumps to the middle. What I really wanted to get at is that if your groups are not strong, your opponent can attack them, and after attacking them, can get a lot of advantage for the rest of the game. Similarly, you should consider, especially if you're still in the double-digit Q range, shapes that make you strong, because that will also allow you later on to more easily see where an opponent might have omitted a move. Like if I saw in the game that white played here, I would immediately think that there's something missing here because I know that there's usually a shape move needed to make this group strong. So you immediately, your weakness radar goes off, and you can immediately think what you can do to this group. So just stay strong, and then after you have a group that has some sort of good eye shape, you can attack the rest. All right, I hope that was helpful. Even if we might be a bit too close to, that focus too much on that one single Joseki variation because it happened twice. I just might see if I can find another game with some other weaknesses and that we can look at. So have a great weekend.